All right, three, two, one, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen, for a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I'm Fred Lambert, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Weintraub. How are you doing this week, Seth?
I'm good. Still remote.
Still remote? Yeah, me too. I'm also in the mountains right now, and I'm gonna be for the next few weeks. But hopefully, my setup is not too bad, and you guys can hear me okay. I hope you can hear me because we have a great show coming up today, and we're gonna start about something that's gonna make a lot of people happy. I guess it's Tesla stock going to the moon or even Mars, maybe because it sounds like Elon wants to use some of that Tesla money to bring people to Mars. Um, let me see. The market just closed right now, so I want to make sure I have my information right. Yep. All right. So it closed at $880. eight hundred and
Wow.
eighty dollars per share. So this week alone, people, Tesla passed the $700 billion valuation and the $800 billion valuation, and now sits at 834 billion. Um,
Not a bad
week,
year, I guess, right? Week.
year, and week. Really, I mean, I think Tesla might have added like close to 150 200 billion in valuation just this week. Just
It,
the first few trading days of the year, really.
unreal.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane. Even I see now people are calling for again, like, oh, I mean, last capital raise was a few $100 ago to the stock price. Maybe it's worth another capital raise. I don't know if Tesla would be bold enough to do that again. But there's a lot of question around what is pushing the stock price so high for Tesla right now. This week, I think that the main driver should be the fact that the Democrats sort of solidify their victory, and not only to the attempted coup aside, the the Georgia, I think, election runoff election was more important, since it now confirmed that the Democrats going to have control of the Senate on top of the House of Representatives and the White House. And we know that the Democrats have been pushing for a reform of the EV incentive program, the $7,500 tax credit. So now
Yep.
that they do have control, I mean, I don't know about you. You certainly know the U.S. political system more than me. Are you confident about them passing something on that front now?
Well, the Democrats aren't terribly amazing at unifying over like one standard. So we have the progressives who are definitely on the green side, but they're not on the wealth equality side. So, for instance, uh, AOC, who's kind of the progressive leadership there, she's said a
Mhm.
couple negative things about Tesla. So if you're thinking like, well, is Tesla going to get their rebate back from the federal government? You would think, with Democrats in control, it would be more likely, but perhaps there's going to be a cap, kind of like in Canada, on the amount of the cost of the vehicle. Maybe they'll only give back the incentive on vehicles over or under 40,000 or under 30,000 or something like that to
That's what I
kind
was
of
thinking
let
too. Yeah.
yeah to let more people into the EV realm. And certainly I can't really argue with that too much. If you can afford a 50, 60, 70, $80,000 car, maybe you're not in need of one. And I would also add that Tesla has made it almost competitive with gas, and I would say a lot of times more than competitive with gas cars, with their innovation in electric in batteries and drivetrains and delivery and dealing forward. So does Tesla really need an incentive at this? Not sure that they do, although it would
Well, I
help.
mean, it's not just the need; it's just like general fairness. I think that would make sense to put Tesla back on the program, because we
Right.
know that it's really disincentivize people to be early on in the electric vehicle, because now Tesla competitors get an extra incentive for really the only reason is because they're late to produce
Right.
electric vehicles in volume. So that's their only reason that they have this competitive advantage over Tesla with that 7,500 credit. Now, here's the thing, too. That's a credit. That's a tax credit. So I do think that it would make sense to put a cap on the price of the electric car if it does come back. But at the same time, since it takes the form of a $7,500 federal tax credit, you need a $75, $100 tax burden at the federal level to take advantage of it. So that's not everyone that has that. So though at the same time, if you can afford a new car, regardless if it's a Tesla or not, you should be in that range in terms of your taxes probably. Now, what I would like to see, Ian, I mean, we already know kind of what could happen because there were some efforts in the last few years, some bills that were proposed to reform the programs. Most of the bills would change the cap on of the 200,000 deliveries to a timeline instead. So, for example, back then it was like up to 2023 or 2024 or something like that. All sales of electric vehicles would get an incentive. There were also efforts to change it from a tax credit to a rebate instead, which I think a lot of people would like, especially if it's at the
Yeah.
purchase. I mean, here in Canada, it's a rebate, but it's not at the purchase though. Though maybe it has changed since I bought my last car though. But last time you get cash, but you get it after you submit an application. It's not a tax rebate. But anyway,
Yeah, that's how our states operate. So California, New York, uh, Colorado, New Jersey, if there's a rebate there, it's at the dealership that you get the credit.
mhm.
So that's a little bit better.
Yeah, that at the dealership level, that's always better. Like you just take it off the price of your car. But anyway, it's definitely something that we are confident is going to happen. What form it will take, I don't know, but I think that's one of the big things that drove the price of the Tesla stock this week. Also, we've seen a bunch of those Wall Street analysts that are millionaires making those little notes, sending out those notes. A lot of them just changed their whole perspective of Tesla now that the rally is seemingly unstoppable on the stock. Now that convinced them that Tesla's going to be successful. I mean, a lot of them said that, oh, okay, I just saw the Q4 numbers now, and now I think Tesla's going to be successful. I mean, come on, we all know the ballpark of Tesla's Q4 numbers. I mean, like 5 to 10,000 units max of a window that people could have gotten wrong. So that's not an excuse. The real excuse is that a lot of them were having very low price targets on Tesla's stock price. And now that the stock has been driven super high, they don't want to look stupid, so they are increasing their price targets and everything. But I mean, I'm it shouldn't affect the stock price, but unfortunately, a lot of people that still listen to them. I'm not saying all of them are bad. Some of them are definitely good at their job and everything, but a lot of them are not even good. But I see someone just mentioned Adam Jonas. Sean Frakes said, "Do you think that this big run is a large part because of Adam Jonas and Morgan Stanley, or just supply and demand for the stocks in general?" I mean, supply and demand for the stock is always the main reason for a stock price to going up. If there's more demand than supply, it drives the price up. Um, yeah, I mean, Adam Jonas has been one of those analysts that I've lost a lot of respect for. Though at the same time, I want to say be careful what I say because I know that like he's not alone at Morgan Stanley covering the automotive market. So he might he's definitely the lead guy there. So I don't know if he take full responsibility for the price targets and the recommendation on Tesla stocks. But if you would have listened to Morgan Stanley's recommendation on Tesla stock over the last few years, you would have not taken advantage of a big part of that run that Tesla was on. So, and also I would note this little thing about Morgan Stanley and Adam Jonas. They only switched Tesla to a buy rating in October, just a few weeks before Tesla announced their capital raise, which Morgan Stanley was one of the brokers behind that capital raise. I'm not saying that the two are related, but the shoe fits.
Yep.
All right. Now, in the more product related news that probably also helped Tesla this week, the launch of the standard range rear wheel drive Model Y and the 7-seat third row option for the Model Y. So that came sort of as a surprise this week, especially, I mean, not so much the 7-seat option. We knew it was coming. Elon said that it was supposed to start production actually last month. and now it looks like they're already starting production. So they were only a few weeks behind because the deliveries are 2 to 5 weeks away now. So for new orders. So it's probably coming up soon. But the standard range rear-wheel drive, that's a surprise because if you remember, just back in July, Elon said that they wouldn't be producing that version, which that version was actually announced in the original launch here. If you look at the Model Y lineup, that was from March 2019 when they launched it. And the standard range was listed back then at 230 miles of range, $39,000, coming in spring 2021. So actually later than it is actually coming. And Elon, but in July, Elon was was asked about when the car is coming, which I mean we were thinking spring 2021 anyway. But at the same time, all the other models were supposed to come in fall 2020, and we know that came sooner too. So it's fair to assume that it could have come sooner. Elon said that they won't launch that version because it would have an unacceptably low range, and even specifically said that the range would be under 250 miles on an APA cycles. So now Tesla is actually launching the vehicle despite Elon's comment, and it's with a 244-mile range. So higher than it was originally planned back in 2019, but still lower than Elon's unacceptably low comment. But if you remember back then, I think both you and I and I think a lot of people in Electrek agreed too, that we weren't really in agreement about Elon's comment of being unacceptably low under 250. And I think that over 200 miles is plenty for other people. Though, of course, that would vary, depending, like especially if you're in a cold climate or something like that. The winter range could be more difficult to handle if you are planning to do like long distance travel in the winter. But for the vast majority of people, for day-to-day driving, it's plenty of range. Now, it also came with a price increase compared to the original $39,000. It starts at $42,000 instead. But that's still way lowers the base price of the Model Y greatly from $50,000, so $8,000 lower. But you lose basically 80 miles of range, and you lose the dual motor, of course. So you just have a rear-wheel drive at that point. Any
Pretty good
thoughts on
deal.
any thought on the deal on the package?
It hits all the good spots really. I mean, it's quite fast, got the good range, not amazing range, but like tons of people are going to be fine with 244. And even in cold weather, you're still approaching 200 miles a typical day. It still has the supercharging, and supercharging stations are becoming more and more prevalent. So, you can still drive cross country, for instance. You can go anywhere with it. It's really not. It's not a hard sale, in my opinion. Like that's a pretty good SUV price, and that's kind of coming up pretty close to gas, in my opinion, in terms of like a $40,000 car. That's pretty on par with what you would get, from a similar brand.
A premium crossover segment, like
Right.
yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I posted earlier today sort of an opinion piece on the release of the standard range, and I said it's going to sell like hotcakes, and I think it will. Both for what you just said, it is competitive in the segment against a gas-powered car. One thing that I think might have changed Elon's mind on releasing the version is that he saw the competition probably in the same segment launching, like the ID4 and the Mach-E, and he saw the
Yep.
range they were achieving. I mean, the Mach-E is seen as one of the top competitor for the Model Y, and their base version, which is also like the shorter range version and rear-wheel drive version, it gets 230 miles of range. So if they can beat that and still have a competitive price, then why not? Now, of course, in the U.S., though, Ford takes advantage of the federal tax credit, but that's for now. Maybe
Right.
maybe Tesla will get back access to the credit, like we discussed earlier, and maybe that if they do come up with a price threshold, maybe that $42,000 put them in that price threshold, because I would expect something between $45,000 and $55,000 for the price threshold. I could be wrong though. But speaking of that, I mean, it's going to be extremely popular in Canada to that version of the car, because the Model Y has been has been hard to buy in Canada. Like with the price conversion, Tesla always had pretty steep price conversion for Canadian dollars, and it made the Model Y difficult to access at all, just with the dual motor and performance version. But on top of that, we have very strong EV incentives here in Canada, and if the car doesn't have access to it, which it doesn't because of the price threshold, even though if it's the car that you want, and maybe even you'd be okay paying that price, it's still a hard sell if you know that you can buy another car and you can get $8,000 to $13,000 of a well, actually $5,000 to $13,000 of a discount depending on which province you're in. So it's a hard sell. But this car, I mean, at least in Quebec and in British Columbia, at 55,000 Canadian, it's going to get access to the incentive. In Quebec here, it's $8,000, so that makes a giant difference. Yeah. And also, interestingly, I thought, I mean, Tesla is not listing it on the website yet, but I think that might be achievable, especially the way that they priced it, because they priced it clean at $55,000 before the destination fees. Like it's like 66,300 something with the destination fees. But I think pre-destination fees, it's straight on at 55,000, and the federal tax credit as a thing with 7-seaters, because the price limit is $45,000 for the 5,000 incentive at the federal level. But if you have a 7-seater, which was a weird thing for them to have in there, because there's no EV that are 7-seaters. But now technically, except the Model X, but the Model X was so expensive anyway that it wouldn't be coming close to that $55,000 price point. But the Model Y is, though it is before you had the 7-seater option. But there's a 55 to 65, I think, price. So if you had the 4,000 to the 55, then you're currently still in that price range. So I think Tesla might be able to unlock the federal tax credit for the Model Y standard range with 7-seat. So basically, what it would mean, for example, if you're in Quebec, you can buy a Model Y standard range for $55,000 minus $8,000, and you can choose the $4,000 7-seater option with a $5,000 federal rebate. So you get $1,000 discount on top of your $8,000 at the provincial level if you decide to go with the 7-seater option.
So basically, you make $1,000 for taking the extra 2 seats.
Yeah, the extra 2 seats. So, of course, the extra 2 seats are not useful for everyone, but also they're not detrimental to anyone because everything still folds flat. So you get your full cargo space. So that's the other thing that Tesla launched this week, the 7-seat option. Oh, a little typo right here. So yeah, here's the list that Tesla says comes with the option. So a third row seating for 2, and as we expected, it's front-facing third row, regular third row. Easy entry into the third row. Yeah, that's a big deal. So the second row is now movable. So there's just into the software that tells you if you're going to use the third row. They're going to move the second row forward and help you get into the third row, which you're probably going to need because it is pretty tight.
So less leg room for the second, the middle row now.
Yeah, but only if you're using the third row, because it's on mechanical sliders now, and you can motorized sliders, and you can move them forward and backwards. So, so I don't think if you put it all the way back, you probably cannot use the third row, but you have just as much room, leg room in the second row, and then you can have a balance between the two in order to accommodate everyone. Though you probably will make everyone unhappy about their leg room if you try to.
Nobody's going to pick the third row. No, not adults anyway.
Yeah. That's something that you spotted too. In Tesla's language on the website, they did change the language from "can seat 7 adults" to "can seat 7 people," and that could be significant because 7 people can include children. So they might have come to the realization that maybe we cannot really fit a full-size adult in there. Though, if you remember at the unveiling in 2019, adults did came out of the back, I think, but I don't remember
Yeah, but
exactly.
I feel like the people who are in the way back were very small adults, like
Yeah,
gymnastics people.
yeah.
They probably
The,
contortionists,
like people that run on horses, like they do the horse race, like all the
jockey. Yeah.
jockeys. Yeah, they hired a few jockeys to get in there. Yeah, so sliding second row with adjustable seat back, like I just said. Full flat second and third row for maximum cargo. Yeah, electronic full flat release in the trunk. Yeah, that's already in the 5-seater Model Y. You can just put the little thing. And they say 2 to 5 weeks lead time on those deliveries in the US too. So it's coming in fast. So I think what's happening really is like Tesla has been selling the Model Y only in Canada and in the US for the last year. They did manage to ramp up production fairly quickly, which increased deliveries a lot. And I'm not saying that now they completed they fulfill all the demand in North America for the Model Y, but they probably is starting to stagnate for the dual motor and performance version. So now they're going down market a little bit there. At the same time, they're starting production in Berlin soon and relatively soon in Texas, and those factories are likely going to focus still on the higher end version of the vehicles, like the Tesla always do. Though maybe it's going to be different in Texas though, because since it's also in North America and Tesla has the Fremont factory to produce the Model Y, I would assume that Tesla's more going to try to do the new platform for the Model Y at Texas, meaning the structural battery pack and the bigger casting and whatnot. So something to look into. But yeah, exciting little update this week for the Model Y, and I'm sure Tesla had plenty of orders for that. Actually, I'm gonna keep a close eye on the lead time, see how it moves in the next few days. I believe it's gonna move pretty quick. Speaking of
Yeah.
the
So
yeah, go ahead.
so 2 to 5 weeks. That means that people who ordered them like a year ago, they're probably building those right now, right?
Well, I'm not clear. Like it's the way Tesla refers to the orders. Like you could like reserve sort of. I mean, they call it an order for the Model Y, but it was still $1,000 deposit and everything. It wasn't like as clear cut of an order. Uh, so I don't. I think that the new the people that place those kinds of order on the 7-seater, like they choose the 7-seat option. I think they might fall back into that lead time too. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, and we've been saying for a while now that this does reservation process and everything. It's not the greatest to be in front of the line, really.
Right.
So staying on the Model Y in China, we reported last week on Tesla launching the Model Y in the Chinese market with the vehicle being made locally too at Gigafactory Shanghai. And now we learned that they already sold out of the first quarter of production, basically. Of course, we don't know exactly how much volume they were planning to do in the quarter, so it couldn't be less impressive than it sounds like. But I mean, I've seen some crazy rumors after like Tesla launched it. I saw a bunch of Tesla fans saying that Tesla sold out 100,000 Model Y the first day of taking orders for it. Clearly that's not the case, because I mean a week later they pushed the timeline from Q1 to Q2, so that means that they sold out the production just for this quarter, and I doubt that they're planning to produce 100,000 Model Y this quarter. That's almost impossible. But if we try to speculate on the production rate, I mean, my own estimate, and it's a wide estimate. I understand. It's I would aim for an exit rate at the end of the quarter between 1,000 and 2,000 units, which is actually quite steep for new production. But I mean, Gigafactory Shanghai has been impressing us at every turn for the last year, so I don't think it's impossible. But yeah, also, I mean, the Model Y, it's not too surprising that it's so popular in China, because all the other competitor like Xpeng, Neo, they all focus on that crossover small SUV market, and it's already been quite popular. And now with the Model Y sort of undercutting them a little bit in terms of pricing and with performance, it's likely going to be a killer product in China, I think.
Yeah. So here's a good question, I think. Uh, the Model Y, is that totally cannibalizing the Model 3 at this point? Uh, in China and in the US? Like, are they making like 5 times as many Model Ys as they're making Model 3s right now? Because they don't break it out in the
That would be nice to
report
know,
card.
right? If they actually broke those two programs out, and same thing for Model S and X. The fact that they don't break them down anymore, it's like they're not the same cars. Like, um,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that right now Tesla is producing in Fremont more Model Y than Model 3.
Yeah.
Um, I think in China, the same thing is going to happen too. I think even though we're high on Model Y right now in China, and Tesla's been delivering over 10,000 Model 3s a month in the country, then producing and delivering. I think that the mix of Model Y is going to affect the Model 3 production. They're going to probably reduce Model 3 production, focus a little bit more on Model Y for a while, and that could change. But at the same time, Tesla has been updating the Model 3 recently. I mean, the heat pump, the double glazed glass, the new center console. I mean, there's the more range. There's been a lot of improvement on Model 3 that I think keeps the program going well. It is a little bit less expensive, and then the Model 3, though, like you said, it's less the case now with the standard range. So yeah, I mean, I think the standard range might affect more the Model 3 program, but that's not the case in China right now. China is still only doing dual motor, long range, and performance version. So it's going to be less so a problem in China, but I think it's gonna affect it a little bit more on the production side, maybe, because a lot of people are assuming that the bottleneck right now in China is the battery availability, which I think is a fair assumption. All right, Tesla also this week, what they did is they updated their Find Us map with a bunch of new supercharger stations that are upcoming. So that's always exciting. It's like it's one of the rare ways to keep track on the supercharger network and the expansion. And little asterisk to that announcement too, of course, is that I mean we've seen plenty of station announced through that map that never really were even though that they reached construction or permitting phase, they never were completed or whatever. I mean, Tesla's every supercharge station needs a bunch of different things to happen in order for it to go online. They need, of course, to find a property that makes sense, make an agreement with the property owner, then find a contractor to build the station, get a deal with the electric utility, get the utility to approve everything at the end and turn it online. It's a lot of things that need to come together for just a single station to open. So some of them won't happen. But Tesla added a ton of new station, and the map is also a little bit more a little bit better this year because it includes a little bit more precise timeline for each station. They tell you even the quarter that it's been in. Before it was more like just the year, or if they were a little bit more precise, they will say late 2021 or whatever. Now they actually try to tell you the quarter, so that's helpful. I know here in Quebec, I was happy to see we got a bunch of new station planned. Oh, I still have the destination charger here. So as you can see, the red one was the one that are already online. The gray one is the one that are upcoming. Though there was some of them that were already there in the 2020 map, but in 2021 map, like right now, I'm in Mont Tremblant here. That's the northernmost supercharger when you go north from Montreal towards the Abitibi region. But now you get three more superchargers toward there, so people are going to be able to cross the Parc de la Vérandrie, a big national park here. You're going to be able to cross that and go all the way to Abitibi, which is nice. You get a new way to go to Lac Saint Jean from here, all the way through the Gaspésie, all around connecting New Brunswick. So a lot of new supercharger, Pierre. What about you, Seth, in your region? Do you have anything?
So what you're looking at right now, that right below is where that 7 is down there, that where there's just a big circle of go up a little bit. Yeah. So Manchester, Vermont is where where I need one, and they're just basically all over. So if anybody at Tesla is listening, Manchester, Vermont, Bennington, Vermont.
Where's
Great
Manchester?
place for super. Oh, go to the right. No,
Yeah.
it's like basically the no man's
Oh,
land.
Manchester. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and down from that is Bennington. So we live near Manchester. Our ski shed is near Manchester. Bennington is where there's a EVgo. So sometimes we have the Chatamo adapter. We use the EVgo. Then there's another EVgo in Manchester.
Okay. So
Yep.
you
So
take the 7 north to go from
no, we come over from
the
like near
91.
Troy and Albany. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
come up there
Oh yeah.
and
Well, there's plenty of
we can
station.
stop in yeah, in Albany there is, but we kind of come up what's called the Taconic. And there's one at the bottom of the Taconic at Clinton Corners, um, to the right of that. Yeah, down.
This one here.
Uh, yeah, that
Clinton
should be
Corner.
Clinton Corners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is.
So we use that quite a bit. Actually, since we moved from Model X to Model Y, we don't really actually need one because it's only about 180 miles. Only if it's cold, we didn't charge all the way. We have bikes or snowboards on the roof or on the back or whatever. In those cases, we need to stop, but otherwise, we make it here and then we just plug in here.
Hmm.
So it's not a big deal. It'd just be nice to have that
I mean,
backup.
the East Coast is already, there's a lot of superchargers around here, as you can see, but they are adding a ton around New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. There's a
Yeah, I
ton
mean,
of
they're
new ones.
starting to look like gas stations at this point.
Yeah, and you can click on them now. You can see this one, Jim Thorpe in Pennsylvania, targeting Q2 to 2021. So this one should get into the permitting and construction phase fairly soon. Of course, California, huge market for Tesla. Already a ton of superchargers there, but they're getting a lot of new ones. As you can see, Los Angeles, like Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, there were no superchargers there now. A bunch of them are planned. East Los Angeles also getting a ton of them. All located like close to the highways, so it's not just for people like and staying in Los Angeles, but people that are passing through, uh, either from north or south, depending on which highways you want to take. Like you can just get off pretty much everywhere, and about soon you're gonna be able to get off pretty much everywhere and get supercharger access. I mean, a ton of superchargers are already connecting the Bay Area and Los Angeles, which are Tesla's two biggest market in North America. They are adding quite a few, and they are adding a bunch of them also in the Bay Area. Though maybe not as much as in LA.
I mean, you could almost not go anywhere without seeing them.
Yeah.
Although if you're like on the west side of the bay,
Yeah.
not too many over there.
I mean, there's a lot of expansion on the west side, on the east side of the bay. I mean, and because it's cheaper to rent is cheaper, whatnot. So a lot of people are commuting now from further and further out, and now you're gonna be able to use the supercharger there too. In terms of routes, I mean, I need to zoom in a little bit more for that. Whoop, that's not easy. Um, I mean, Tesla already completed most of the cross country routes that you would want to take. I see a bunch of them in the mountains in Colorado. So there's not many like critical ones that need to be. Oh, maybe this route here that wasn't covered before. Now you can get from Fargo to Winnipeg by the end of next year. No, in 2022. These one are a little bit further out in North Dakota. Yeah, oh, this one is Q2 2021 in Grand Forks. But yeah, I mean,
You
Tesla
could
has.
probably make it
Oh yeah,
without
probably.
both
Yeah.
of those.
Well, maybe not in the winter, but I mean
Yeah.
the Trans Canadian route was already completed last year, so there's not many there. But from Edmonton to Saskatoon is going to be connected soon. Not Q4 2021. Yeah, by the end of this year. And same thing from Edmonton going to Prince George and North British Columbia. You're going to be able to do that too. Plenty of new routes, a lot of fun. I mean, we're less familiar with the European markets, but you can check them out, check your local markets there, see if you see any cool new station coming up. They don't tell you how many chargers, anything like that, but I mean, Tesla is pretty good about that. Like, that's one thing that we're more critical of other charging networks when they just do a few stalls per station. Tesla is a little bit more ambitious on that front. Rarely now they will deploy less than 8 stalls and I mean, over 12, even 20 now is not unusual. So that's
How are
kind
we doing in Alaska and Hawaii?
they in Alaska they'd move one. There
Uh-huh.
was already one that was planned there, but now there's one, there's still one, but it's not the same one, and it's also not connecting you to much really. Like you can see, it's like south of Anchorage right here
Oh, okay.
in
Well,
Kenai.
there's not much population anywhere else anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's to connect Anchorage to Peninsula here. I don't know.
Seward or something.
Sold dot no, it's there Q3 2021. It's not planned soon anyway. I think last time they were showing one in Anchorage that was planned, but it's not there anymore. And Hawaii, what is up with Hawaii?
Because we heard
Hawaii
about
has,
that one.
yeah, we are in Lanai. That's the one in Lanai, right?
Yeah, that's Larry
No,
Ellison's.
no, the one in
No,
Lanai
they
is
got.
actually not shown. Where's Lanai?
Oh, interesting.
This is Lanai. No,
No, it's right off of Maui, which is like to the left of Maui a little bit.
Lanai here,
Yeah,
yeah.
there.
So they're
Yeah.
not showing one in
There's,
Lanai.
but there is one in Honolulu and another one on Maui, so that's good.
Yeah, and they are planned for 2022. Okay,
20.
it's not tomorrow, but at the same time, like it's not critical market for supercharging. Maybe on Honolulu a little bit more because I mean there's a lot of people living in apartments and whatever that could
Exactly,
probably take
yeah.
advantage of it. And that one is planned on Q2 2021, so that one is coming sooner.
Soon.
Yeah,
I wonder if the reason they don't have Lanai is because it's a private, basically Larry Ellison's island. I wonder if it's not even a public supercharger.
that's very possible. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've heard of private superchargers. They've been plenty. I've looked into the map too, because sometimes in the past we've used the map to see where Tesla might be planning to expand soon. Because normally, like supercharger and service networks, those are the two things that Tesla will launch to enable market
Oh
expansion.
yeah. Do I see
But
some in Israel and Turkey there?
yeah, Israel. Yeah, there's three planned in Israel, and we know they are launching soon. We reported this week that Tesla got their import license, and sure enough, the supercharger station is showing Q1 2021. So they are launching extremely soon in the Israeli market. We've seen in terms of like Middle East, there's some more that are planned in the United Arab Emirates, but Tesla was already in that market, so it's not really a market expansion. But if you look in Turkey, they're talking about coming soon. Like all the new markets where Tesla is not in right now, they don't list this Q1, Q2, Q3. They don't do that. Like same thing in Ukraine, I think. Yeah, coming soon. And there was a bunch of them in Russia. I don't know if they were still there. Yeah, they're still there. But they also show coming soon. So we know that Tesla plans to launch in Eastern Europe, especially Russia, Ukraine, and those bigger markets. But there's no clear timeline on it yet. That or at least that doesn't help us finding out about a clear timeline. All right, another interesting news that came out today was maybe a quicker than expected timeline on that $25,000 Tesla vehicle that was announced at the Battery Day. A lot of people have linked that vehicle to the domestically designed and built in China vehicle that Tesla is planning to do. It would make sense that the two come together. They were talking about a smaller hatchback there. They were talking about a smaller hatchback with a $25,000 car. So, and now what we learned today is that there was a new documents for Gigafactory Shanghai that were leaked on Chinese media that show that Tesla is planning to build a third model at the plant, that it's not the Model 3 and Model Y, as soon as 2022. So the best timeline we had for that before for the $25,000 was in 3 years that Elon said when he announced that we will make a compelling $25,000 electric vehicle that is also fully autonomous. He said that would be coming about 3 years because it would be dependent on Tesla ramping up production of its 4680 battery cell and start producing that structural battery pack architecture. So yeah, now the new information is that this car, to why we also think that it's a $25,000 car, not just the Chinese design and build Tesla, is that it said the document that it would aim to start at 166,000 Chinese yuan to 200,000 Chinese yuan. 160,000 yuan is the equivalent of 24,755, which is basically $25,000. So that would make a ton of sense. And also, we know that the project is sort of further along than a lot of people think. Like, it was kind of announced off the cuff by Elon with Gigafactory Shanghai. But earlier this summer, we reported that Tesla started taking design submission from Chinese designer for the car, and they started hiring shortly after for the vehicle program. So we know that it's coming along. But yeah, 2022 would still be a quick turnaround, but at the same time, again, like I said, don't underestimate the Tesla's Chinese team. They are very fast. That would be a game
Mm.
changer, though. We talk about price with the Model Y, bringing the price to $42,000, like $25,000 for a nice little small hatchback that is over 200 miles of range. Sort of a ID3, maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit
Yeah, I was just gonna
cheaper.
say, you mentioned the ID4 before as one of the reasons why Tesla may have uh, rethought its inexpensive Model Y. I wonder if the success of the not just the ID3 in Europe, but the ID3, the Renault Zoe, and obviously all the French Peugeot. I don't know how successful Peugeot and Citroën are, but they're all
That
making small patchbacks.
that 208e apparently starting to do fine, that car, that Peugeot.
Right, and if you look at markets like Norway, which are obviously way ahead of everybody else, um, the hatchbacks are kind of like the big sellers there. So if Tesla wants to be in the big seller market, they kind of have to jump into that field, and as
Mhm.
far as Europe's concerned, and China the same thing. If you want to go down market, you got to make a smaller car.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the nail in the coffin for gasoline car too, because $25,000 sticker price. I mean, total cost of ownership over 5-10 years, it's gonna be under $15,000 or something like that. Because not only that, it's gonna be a super efficient electric car too. You have to keep that in mind. So even regardless of your electricity rates, it's gonna be even less demanding on that. So it's gonna be crazy. All right. We have a few more news items we want to hit real quick, but after that, we're going to jump into the comment section. I know that it looks like it's been pretty active today. So, but if you have any specific question to ask us or subject you want us to discuss at the end of the show, put them in right now, and we're going to discuss them very soon. All right. VW is making a new batch of the first edition ID4 for the US market. So, if you remember last year when the ID4 was launched, we were very high on it. I mean, we were sort of disappointed that the US production is not coming until a year or two, but the Volkswagen is still sending some German-made ones to the US, and they made first what they call a first edition batch. It's a special version of the car with special badging and the different features. Uh, that starts at $44,000. It's a pretty good price. I mean, just talked about the Model Y at $42,000, and but we don't know how many they made available to the US. We just know that they sold out extremely quick. Like we think it's in the few thousand max that they made available, and it sold out. I think in a day or a few hours, maybe even. Now they announced this week that they made another batch and they made it available to people that placed a reservation for the other versions of like the next one coming. I mean, there's going to be a few others, but the next one coming is the $40,000 ID4 Pro, and so they reached out to those people that ordered this one since the first edition was sold out, and they offered them to get a new first edition first. So they're gonna send another shipment in the next few weeks because the pro version might be a few months away. I remember them saying early 2021, so it shouldn't be that far away either. It should be coming fairly soon. Now let's talk about GM and Honda a little bit. So for those who don't remember, GM and Honda have this deal to use the GM Ultium platform to produce two Honda vehicles for the North American market. Sorts of a surprising deal, really. The Honda would be completely reliant on GM for the platform, the technology, and everything, and even producing the cars. So that's what we learned this week, is that the deal, more specifically, is going to be for one Honda branded EV and one Acura branded EV. So a more premium vehicle and a less premium vehicle that both going to be crossover apparently. So more of those.
Yep.
It's not like at this point, I don't know if we need that many more of those, but they're coming. And the Honda one's going to be produced in Mexico, and the Acura is going to be produced in Tennessee. The Honda in begin production in 2023, and the Acura in Tennessee in 2024. So it's not short term either.
Nope.
So I'm not high on the Honda for the electrification effort. I mean, I like look, the Ultium platform looks great. I think GM's going to be able to produce great cars on that platform. So those cars could be great cars, but I just don't understand why Honda wants to give up like the most important part of the electric vehicle making process, which is the platform, the powertrain, to GM for like, are they giving up on making cars for the North American market? Is that what it sounds like to you? Just a little bit to me.
I I don't know. It's a good question. Like you wonder what their strategy is. I don't know what it is.
I mean, we know that they're working on their own platform too, but the fact that they are willing to work with GM on that is surprising if they have their own platform. So does that mean that it's not going to be coming until a few years after that, or it's just that they just don't really care about the North American market? Because we know that Honda is very focused on the regulation. They see regulation pushing EV adoption more than anything, which we get why they would think that, but we think it's a lack of vision not to see longer term than what the regulation are pushing right now. Because their biggest effort from a Honda is the Honda E, which is a nice car, but it's a short range compliance car that they only sell where they have to sell EVs, which is in Europe right now. So yeah, I'm not really high on a Honda for the electrification. All right, the other news is still about GM, and it's about their launch of a new campaign, a new logo, new brand image that they are launching today. Uh, all built around their electric vehicle effort. So you were on a call with them today, Seth?
Yeah, today GM had a call. There was about 30 automotive journalists, and I actually was like not just automotive journalists, but like Brand Week was there. So it was kind of like the advertising industry, and the big reason why is because they are changing their logo. Like that's kind of a big deal. Their brand basically. So that if you scroll down a little bit, you can see the new one um, on the right there. Quite a big change. Still has that underline, but lowercase g and m, and that blue to green gradient that all green companies enjoy, including Electrek.
Yeah,
So
kind of a similar
it's
color scheme here than ours.
yeah, not good job, GM.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I think it's good. It's not branding, but it's not bad. Um, it's a big deal. Like GM is spending a lot of money. They're spending a lot of their time, and they're basically saying like they're trying to move this whole huge ship all the way to electrification. And you got to give them credit, at least in the respect of like they are saying they're going to be all electric. Are they doing a ton of stuff right now? Like, can you go to the dealership and see anything but a Chevy Bolt? No, but that's the plan. That's the brand. They're moving everything over. They're just not showing us the vehicles we'd like to see um, just yet. They've got a Peloton guy. They've got a one-armed surfer woman. They've got a gamer person. Um, they've got a young girl as brand ambassadors, and biggest brand ambassador is Malcolm Gladwell, which is a prolific writer. He hasn't been in a car commercial since all the way back in April of last year, where he was endorsing Lexus. So good for him, I guess.
It's a new world that intellectuals now are being used to advertise cars. It used to be like movie stars and good looking women, and now you have, I mean, this guy doing it, which is nice. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a different for sure.
and as people who write for a living, well, sure,
Yeah,
we'll take it.
is he a
Um,
podcaster too, or
yeah, he's a podcaster, and I think probably his biggest selling point for this particular situation is that he wrote the book Tipping Point, which is about, ironically, they talk about like, one person gets a virus and then it starts a pandemic. Like that's a tipping point. And, you know, I think that was before the tipping point was book was before all this happened. But
yeah,
it's like those things that, change the world. And I think they're trying to apply that to electric vehicles. Um, Yeah, it's a big campaign. I imagine there'll be lots of ads. Hopefully there'll be lots of GM ads on Electrek, and probably TV and billboards and everywhere else trying to get that brand recognition. Um,
which has been a problem. I mean, we reported on that before. Like the ad spending on electric vehicles is a small fraction or inexistent in many markets. I mean, some automakers will obviously focus on like California and things like that, like markets where it does matter. But a lot of a big problem with EV adoption is just knowing about EVs and what EV models are available out there. Like for the wider public, of course, it's not like for people in the Electrek are like, when we talking about, I know every EV that's out there, but the wider public just don't. So um, the fact if they're spending some money on that, it's great. It's just that for a lot of EV fans, I know that like GM marketing themselves as an EV company is not something that goes by well, and I understand it completely. I'm skeptical about GM too. I mean, all the way back from the EV1. But I mean, no, you don't even have to think about the EV1 to be frustrated with GM's effort with siding with Trump against NDEP against the CARB in California. That was a big no-no. Also, they've been we know that they've been backing some efforts to slow down Tesla and its direct sell effort business model. That's not great either. I'm not on board with that. Like, so there's a few things like that that I know about us. But at the same time, if they are spending money on making more electric vehicles, putting them out there, marketing them, then that's just good for the electric revolution. So I'm on board with that.
yeah, same. Uh, so let's go to the comments. We've got
All
quite
right.
a bit today. Sean Goggins says the Model Y Standard Range Plus means that they are battery constrained and optimistic about production increases like Austin coming early. It's good for their mission. I don't know if I would make those leaps. I don't know about battery constrained, but
Well, yeah, but I mean, what he means by that is that now every Model Y that's being produced is coming out with an 80 something, close to 80 kilowatt hour battery pack. The standard range is going to have a much smaller battery pack, so you can produce more cars with the same batteries. So actually a good point. Yeah, it should make a difference.
I was trying to make it so you could see us better on the YouTube, but there's no way to do it.
But it's
Anyway, he continues. Tesla is again inconsiderate to reservation holders. No Model Y long range rear-wheel drive in SR Plus after tweeting the opposite multiple times, canceling initial SR Plus reservations. Sure, it is a boom times now, but man, they need communications department and
I
to think
mean,
about their customers and employees.
preaching to the
Yeah,
choir.
well, yeah. Uh, I, there's no real argument there,
Yeah, they are
guys.
figuring a lot of it out as they go. I mean, Tesla is great technology wise and everything like that, but for a lot of the rest, they're like, all right, like employees, like they're told, all right, this quarter you just now you have to deliver 100% more vehicle. They're like, how? Figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are we aware of any production constraints at the Fremont factory? Predictions of the amount of Model Y they will be able to sell due to the vehicle being more affordable with the SR version.
I mean, not we don't know. Like I said, if there was any battery constraint, that will help. The SR Plus will be able to achieve a higher production. But I think in 2021, obviously the story for Model Y is going to be a new factory production, not necessarily Fremont. But that's going to be coming out second half of the year now.
Dan Howard asks, "Are you guys going to fully charge Austin, Texas in September?"
But
We
wasn't
plan
that,
to if it exists. What's
I,
that?
I thought I got an email saying that they're coming back in 2022, not 2021. Or are they saying that they're also coming back in 2022, but they're going to be here in 2021?
I'm not sure, but if it's on and there's no pandemic, we'll be there.
Oh
We
yeah.
were there last year,
Well, I
and
wasn't. I wasn't, but
yeah, we
I'm willing to come for sure.
yeah.
We have a
Happy New
partnership
Year.
fully charged too now. You guys
Yeah,
see
we're even.
articles from Robert on the website all the time.
Yeah. Texas has a rebate much better for lower income buyers. So yeah, we were talking at that time about a federal rebate being reinstated for Tesla, but maybe for only certain vehicles. The states are already like that. Sean Goggins back. The $5,000 Canadian federal rebate is applied at the dealership.
All right.
Yep, as we mentioned, there's a few of those in the U.S. as well, states. Do you guys think this big run is in large part because of Adam Jonas at Morgan
No.
Stanley, or more just supply demand for the stock in general? You had mentioned that during the show.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to
Here,
everyone.
Luke Myler.
Bryson Bard. Previously, I asked if semi FSD subscription was probable, and you both didn't think so. Do you still think so? I think with replacing driver costs, they could charge it, and it could be huge. So FSD subscription being portable, I think. Wait, probable. He's saying.
Did we ever say that they wouldn't release FSD subscription? I don't remember ever saying that.
Yeah,
I remember having some doubt about around the cost of it. Like apparently it's going to be quite expensive, so I don't know about that. But Elon just confirmed recently that's going to be coming early 2021. So yeah, it's coming for sure.
All right, scrolling through
Oh,
here.
Gordon Johnson. Oh boy, that's like if you want to talk about analysts with bad calls, like Gordon Johnson should be on the top of your list. That guy's been wrong about Tesla since it exists. It's
Yeah. All right, so we're moving down. So we're talking about analysts still. Good point. Also, for those who do know better, Johnson does provide some amusement, even if he's all. So he's more of an entertainer than a good stock analyst, perhaps. Will the Cybertruck release late 2021 be equipped with vehicle-to-grid via bidirectional feature capacity? Not sure. We do know that it's going to have an inverter, so you can plug in tools. So theoretically, you could just plug that into your household, like a generator adapter or something.
I think that Drew sort of confirmed that every Tesla vehicle going forward will have the V2G capacity. No?
Yeah, and he also said something about, I think that current vehicles in Europe already have it.
No, yeah, with the three phase.
Yeah. Will the new SR model have the HEPA filter seen in China?
Good question.
That's uncertain.
I mean, it's not listed in the features. We'll have to see once they start deliveries. It's a big one. I saw a picture recently. They have a big one there.
Yeah, same size as the Model X. If the first Cybertrucks being produced are supposed to be released late this year, which is questionable, should we be seeing prototypes out being tested? Theoretically, there should be some prototypes coming.
I mean, if you want to compare it to any other automakers' normal test programs, then yes, you should definitely see them. Tesla is not like any other automakers for sure, and so yeah, we're not seeing that. Doesn't mean that it's not out there. Like Tesla also has like proving grounds and things like that they can use where sightings are much more difficult to get of the cars, but we've just learned like a few months ago that Tesla was still working on the design of the Cybertruck, and I mean, I'd be shocked if there's deliveries in 2021. I'd be pleasantly shocked, but I'd be shocked. So I wouldn't be counting on that otherwise.
All right, the Canadian 7-seater EV is the Chrysler Pacifica. I don't know if I would call that an EV. It's 40
Yeah.
miles of range, but
But maybe it has enough battery capacity that it fits for the federal tax. I think the
oh
federal
yeah,
tax credit is like a 15 kilowatt hour battery. If you have a 15 kilowatt hour battery, you can get the rebate. So I think
um,
the Pacifica should be pretty close to that 15.
yeah. Um, Keeley says, what's the third row seat rated for weight limit wise?
Oh,
We
I
don't
don't know that.
know.
Yeah. Oh, what's inside? That's
Uh,
Dan. Dan from What's Inside says, "Will we see an X and S refresh soon?" Oh, we just talked about something before the show, but I don't think I can talk about it right now. But it's regarding the S and X refresh. We should have more
there'll be news. There'll be
information.
news in how many days? 30 days. We'll know something.
We'll have more on that eventually. I mean, I
All
said
right.
it's
So
for
John.
sure coming this year.
All right. So Johnny B threw $10 in. So we're definitely going to talk
Yeah.
about this here. My brother accused me of listening to pro Tesla media. I told him that the info that I get has been pretty good. The anti-Tesla media has been consistently wrong. So yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
my comment on this is we're not pro or
Yeah.
anti necessarily. I mean, we're pro Tesla because we're pro EVs and we're pro electric vehicles, but we try to be even-handed on Tesla and other electric vehicle makers.
Yeah.
What do you think, Fred?
I mean, we definitely have our biases. I mean, I'm a Tesla shareholder, so obviously I'm biased toward that. But at the same time, you'd have a hard time if you look closely at my coverage of the company. You have to admit that I'm pretty fair on both sides of the issues. Like, I will report when I think Tesla does something wrong, and vice versa. So I'll look over that. But I mean, there's certainly a lot of fully pro Tesla media. There's no doubt about that. Whether the information are wrong or not, I mean, I wouldn't. I would argue that the pro Tesla media are generally still consistent in terms of fact checking and whatnot. They do, but there's slip ups. But we also have slip ups. Like, I'm not gonna judge anyone on that. In terms of the anti Tesla media, though, I mean, I'd be I would have a hard time like listing you a clear NT unless you want to go like truth about cars and things like that. But I mean, these are almost irrelevant if you ask me.
At this point,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, if you go a few years back, then maybe I mean, there's some like CNBC was more consistent on being negative, and but at the same time, CNBC is a big media and they will report on everything, and they do report on the good things on Tesla too. So I think that anti-Tesla media is going away basically because now, I mean, a lot of media are just seeing how much interest there is around Tesla, and they want the clicks like anybody else on the media. They want the clicks, so they know that people just follow Tesla so closely, so they'll post everything there is to post about Tesla, the good and the bad. So uh, that's my take on that.
You've gotten death threats from both pro and anti-Tesla
Oh
people.
yeah,
So
oh yeah,
I feel like you're very fair and balanced.
yeah. That's how you know if you're doing your
And
job right. If you get death
yeah.
threats from both sides.
All right. Do you think Elon will sell some of his stock in order to put cash into getting to Mars? I think he's already said that. Reasons: lower tax rate in Texas, stock price too high. In my opinion, previous capital raises take advantage of high price. Is Elon going to have to pay any taxes on his huge amount of stock that he's like
I
tranches
mean,
of stock? Or,
there's a capital gain because it's a capital gain tax, right? If it's a stock option, you pay the difference because you get your stock option as at the rebate over the actual price of the stock. So it's actually an increase between the two. So I think it's a capital gain. Might be wrong on that, but he's gonna have to pay taxes on those stock option for sure. And well, actually, the question is whether he's going to sell some to get to Mars. Yeah, apparently he's going to sell some, but that's on a 10 to 20 year timeline. Apparently, and you think he's going to have to sell some, so I wouldn't be worried too much about that. When as a shareholder, when I think that this a stock will take a hit is whenever Elon's going to sell some stock to when he exercises is a stock option on his new compensation plan, because on his new, I mean, I think it was put in place in 2018 or something. But at the kind of stock price that Tesla has right now, I mean, it's going to be billions and billions of dollars per tranche of his compensation plan. So he's gonna have to pay hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in taxes when those option exercise. Either that or he's gonna have to donate a lot of money for it, which he's been sort of preparing us for, right? Is it like lately he's been talking
Yeah,
since this week he officially became the richest man in the world, which I've called by the way like 5 years ago. I said Elon's gonna be the richest man of the in the world. Though I said by 2025,
and
and
the first
yeah,
trillionaire, right?
yeah, now I'm calling is gonna be the first trillionaire too. But that
Did
maybe
you did you calculate Bezos getting divorced in your calculations
no,
there?
but I mean Bezos, he's gonna keep growing his fortune a lot, I'm sure. But I just don't see him ever catching up with the pace that Elon is going at. Like, even though
Right.
there's some similarities because Elon gets a lot of his fortune from Tesla, publicly traded company. Uh, Bezos from Amazon, publicly traded company, and that Elon is Hasten the Hole, which is kind of SpaceX. The evaluation is not clear, though apparently it's close to 100 billion at this point. And Bezos has his Blue Origin, but I don't think Blue Origin is like cutting it,
Nowhere
close
close.
to SpaceX. Yeah. So yeah, what was I going with? Oh wait, yeah, yeah. If the if I see the Tesla stock going down in the short term or mid term, whatever, is whenever Elon decides to exercise, and he has plenty of time to exercise his share, by the way, so it's not necessarily coming anytime soon. He's gonna have to sell some to either like donate to charity, though he could donate shares to charity too. That might be a loophole there. If he donates the share to a charity
Yeah.
and then the charity just use the share as leverage, I don't know. But I mean, they would most likely sell the share anyway, so that would put selling pressure on the stock too. But there's gonna have to be something happening there, and that could start putting some selling pressure on Tesla. And also just the fact that if Elon does end up selling shares with his trenches, I mean, that a ton of media will just go, Elon is selling shares of Tesla, and that alone is gonna be a bad. Uh, uh, what do you call it? Factor to affect the stock.
Yeah. All right, moving on. I used a version 3 Supercharger for the first time on a new 2021 Model 3 in Canada, but the charge rate was only 50 to 30 kilowatts, starting from 20% charge. Any idea why? Um, it's
Yeah.
probably, I'm going to just guess it's either cold or um, there's a demand charges. And sometimes Tesla will lower its charge rate if demand charge too
Yeah, I mean, it
too
depends
high.
also if you entered the supercharger in the navigation system, it should have preconditioned the battery and you could have achieved a higher charge rate. But if that happens a lot, I would look with Tesla because that's not.
Uh-oh, lost your audio there, Fred. Uh, I think we could probably get through most of these others. We have a story by Tom Malogny this week, who got his hands on a CCS combo to Tesla North American connector. Uh, so $960. I think it's actually a Korean maker. We've seen it as well, and we've been inquiring about getting it. So hopefully we'll do that. Anyway, since Fred's audio's out, let me end the podcast this week saying that thank us, subscribe, give us a good review, hit that like button, do all the things, and we'll see you next week.